Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another Thursday Talks with me, Suzanna Kaye. Today we are talking about letting go of things when staying the same is more painful than making the change. So we're going to deep dive into a lot of what goes on behind the scenes when it's something where you want to make a change, but you might be struggling to actually pull the trigger and make that change, whether it's starting to just let go of email newsletters and delete them if you don't have time to read them, all the way to how does our identity play into our closet and our overstuffed clothes. So we're going to talk about all that stuff behind the scenes going on in our brain today during Thursday Talks and the Organizing Mindset podcast. As you hop on, let me know who you are and where you're joining me from. I always love to hear who's around and see what you're up to, who's here. So Lori says hi from Cleveland. Hello, Lori. Lovely Marie says blessings from Alaska. How's everyone doing? I know I'm doing pretty good. I hope you are too. BS Ruth says good morning from Cleveland, Tennessee. We've got a Cleveland, Ohio and a Cleveland, Tennessee. Good morning. And Nancy is here from Colorado. We've got Eloise from Texas City, Texas with lots of love, she says. I'm glad that you're here. All right. Hi, Jana from Missouri. As you hop on, I love seeing you in the chat. All right. If you have any questions or if you have comments as we go through and anything is an aha moment or you can relate to, let me know in the chat. That always makes it more engaging and interesting if I can talk back and forth with you about the things that resonate with you. Hi, CJ. Hi, Lee. Welcome, welcome. Well, let's dive in today to letting things go when staying the same is more painful than making the change. Also, coming up, reminder, we have our vault sale coming up November 26th through December 1st. This is when you can get 20% off of most of our digital products in our online store, so mark your calendar. And if you're not sure what all you have, then make sure to grab your resources binder, your Suzanna Kaye resources binder PDF. This download link is also in the show notes in the description of the video. All right, let's talk about letting go of things. The things that we're talking about is generally clutter, right? Letting go of clutter. Now, clutter can be physical items that are in the way and actually cluttering up your space, but clutter can also be items that might be in a home in your house and not in the way, but they're things that in the back of your head you know you don't really need. Those are the ones that you think, should I? And then you leave it there. Clutter can also be open tasks, things that you've not completed yet, right? Things that are just filling your brain. Clutter can also be digital. So digital clutter, a full email inbox like we talked about during the webinar last night, or digital files that are out of place and unorganized, or too much information coming in at you through your emails and such. So there are so many different ways that we can have clutter in our lives. Clutter basically is anything, either physical or non-physical, that is excess and weighing on your brain because there's a part of you that knows that you don't really need it, or it's simply getting in the way. It's taking up too much mental space or physical space, right? So we're talking about clutter. Clutter, if you've not guessed it already, is really an open loop. All of our clutter are simply open loops. They create loops for us, even when we don't realize it. So that overstuffed closet, that cluttered up closet, that right there is a big old open loop. So every time you go into your closet to get something out or put something away, your brain also has the thought of, I really need to go through this, right? Open loop. Every time you go to put something away and you see, maybe you open your utensils drawer in your kitchen and it's all nicely organized, you have plenty of space, everything's in its place, but you see that apple corer and you don't really use it. So your brain thinks, do I really need that? And then you close the drawer and leave it there. Now you've got some mental clutter, right? It's an open loop of not having made that decision to either keep it for sure or let it go. Clutter could also be just your email inbox. Every single one of those emails that you have that are still sitting in your email inbox and not either filed where they can be handled or taken care of, each one is an open loop. It's a task that is not yet done. So clutter is not just stuff. When we have clutter, it's usually a story that your brain is trying to keep alive. So every object, every sticky note, your nervous system, your brain feels responsible for it. Everything that we have in our lives, we have to spend some brain power on maintaining it, making decisions about it. So we think about all the things we have. When you have a lot of stuff, then that's a lot of different stories your brain is holding on to and a lot of different things it's trying to maintain. So clutter is open loops. It's a lot of different stories that your brain is holding on to and trying to keep alive, trying to keep in the front of your consciousness, so that way you don't forget things and you stay on top of things. So the more you have, the harder it is, right? So some examples, like I said, of clutter. A lot of these are based in fear. We're going to talk first about fears, right? So fears are probably one of the most common causes of clutter that we realize. So this is probably one of the more talked about reasons for clutter are our fears. But some of the fears, an email saved, right, is a fear of falling behind. You're afraid that you will fall behind if you don't handle your emails when you see your email inbox or if you don't read that newsletter. Overstuffed closet, a fear of identity loss, which we'll talk about. Just in case items, a fear of being unprepared. Full desktop in your office or home office, fear of forgetting something, right? There's so many fears that are causing our clutter and causing those open loops with our stuff. Stuff itself is not the problem. It's the thoughts and those open loops and that mental pressure that we get because of the thoughts about the thing. So not all things are clutter. Not all things cause negative thoughts. But let's talk about those fears, right? We talked about several examples. The fear of missing out. This is a really big one, especially with something like keeping those unread email newsletters, right? Fear of missing out. It's also the fear of falling behind and not knowing all the things that you might think that you need to know about. There might be something in there, in that email newsletter, that is going to be the trick that solves my problem, or that aha moment, or that piece of information that saves the day. So that fear keeps us from just deleting the newsletter without reading it. Perfectionism is often a fear of not being enough, right? If you do something imperfectly, then what does that say about you? Are you as good as the next person? Are you enough? Just in case items, the fear of being unprepared. If you're keeping those empty spaghetti jars, but you don't have a reason for them, if you are keeping all of the extra paperwork, even though you've been told you don't need it, but you're keeping it just in case, your fear of being unprepared. That full desktop that we talked about, right? Having your desk covered with piles of paper, or your office, multiple different pieces of paper and reminders everywhere. Fear of forgetting something. So each of these is a fear that once we address the fear, then we can start to make some of the changes that will benefit us, right? Now, fears are not that easy to address, but the first step is identifying it. So step one, as you're going through, look around and see, okay, do I have a full desktop? Do I have a lot of papers and reminders around? Do I have things laying out as a reminder? Maybe I'm afraid of forgetting something. Am I being a little too perfect with things, right? Is there perfectionism going on? Maybe I have a fear of not being seen as being enough. What are you keeping that might be a fear of falling behind or fear of missing out? So identifying when you see things around your house, when you come across things during the day, we don't have to solve the fear right now. First, just identify. Say, I wonder if there's a fear underneath there, and just kind of poke at it, mentally poke at it, explore it, state it to yourself, and you don't have to do any deep work right now. Just identifying it is step one. Now, what if, though, as you're looking at these things, when you're ready to make a change, what if you change your thoughts? What if it's actually more of a burden carrying the guilt of never reading that newsletter than it is just deleting it, right? Because every time you see all those unread newsletters and things to read, you have a burden. There's mental pressure, there's guilt, there's shame, there's frustration, all of this heavy burden, this mental burden, by not reading it, yet still keeping it. What if deleting that email is the lighter option? What if deleting that email and trusting that if there's something really important that you need to know, you'll look it up when you need to look it up. It'll come to you when it's time for you to actually need it. What if letting go and just deleting it is a lighter option that your future self will thank you for? I don't know anybody whose future self has been, thank you so much for keeping all those newsletters. But I've heard so many times when in the future somebody said, you know, I have not missed reading any of those newsletters that I did not get around to. I feel so much lighter because I let them go. So identify not just whether it's a fear, but really start to look at these things and recognize and acknowledge the weight of these things, the weight of keeping even the email newsletter. There's a burden, there's a mental weight, there's mental load, mental pressure, right? So start identifying how much weight is involved in keeping it, because one day maybe things will flip and you'll think, you know what? What if I want to let go of that weight? Maybe it's worth it now. The fear, getting past the fear to let go of it. All right, so that is fears. Now, if you are looking for help getting past some of these things and finding that encouragement, finding that safe place where you can try these things out and have the support, if you're not already a Pathfinder, make sure to join the Pathfinders Plus Club membership. We are here. We work side by side. I have a number of different resources here for you. It's a way to be connected to a group of other people going through the same journey. And if you're feeling afraid of letting go of something, if you're feeling afraid of making a change, then there are multiple places and opportunities within the Pathfinders Plus Club to talk it out, right? To bring up some of these fears, to talk about the mental burden and get some support. So check that out. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. I am simply a safe place to be able to talk through some of these things and really reinforce what you truly want for the future and what you don't want. All right, before we go on next to identity, I wanted to hop over to the chat area. And hello, Tony's here. She says, that makes sense. Clutter being an open loop. Yep, so many open loops, right? Melody says, hi from chilly Fairfax, Virginia. Hello, Melody. Welcome to Brana from San Diego. And Joanna from Missouri, welcome. Lovely Marie says, for email folders, how many should we have that's not overwhelming when trying to sort the information? I hear you talking about using it as an action file on the desk, but only on the PC. So confusing for me. Last night's webinar, we talked about exactly this. We also have, if you want something even more foundational about how to do it, the technological side of it and how to combine things, then the emails and digital organizing webinar. Those are the two webinars that I would highly recommend. It's much more than I can go into here right now. But check out emails and digital organizing. You might already own it. If you do, make sure that you just hop in and watch it. And hop into the, what was it called? How to Stop Losing Files and Emails and Start Loving Your Inbox webinar that we just did last night. So right now, if you grab those two combined, they create this full system and flow for your email inbox, your digital files, and your visual organization of your digital files. So I talk about that there. Good question. Yeah, she says, please help me with this. No worries. Those webinars will absolutely help you with this. Hi, Coral. She says, apology from last night. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that you missed last night. I don't remember seeing you there last night. But yeah. Hi, Coral. Glad to have you here. All right. So we talked about fear. And that's one that a lot of people do kind of already know, that a lot of our clutter and all those open loops and things that we have a hard time letting go of, those are really fear-based. Another specific part of fear, this still ties into fear, the fear of either not being enough or losing your identity. But identity is big enough that it kind of needs its own category to talk about. So let's talk about identity when it has to do with clutter, mental clutter, digital clutter, physical clutter. So identity, some examples that you can that might help you relate to this is an overstuffed closet. That overstuffed closet might include some fear of identity loss, losing part of your identity if you let go of some of the things that you're holding on to. Another example for identity would be maybe you have an overstuffed bookshelf or some boxes full of books that you never read. You've never read, you want to one day, but you just never get around to it. A lot of times that can be a desire to be someone you aren't, to have a part of your identity that you don't feel like you have, right? So a desire to be someone you aren't. 99% of just in case items are really just in case I magically become the person who uses this, right? So when we let go of just in case items or items that are not currently useful to us or that we have never actually used, we are letting go of fantasies, not tools, right? Letting go of the just in case items, we are letting go of the fantasy. Sometimes it's a good fantasy, sometimes it's a bad fantasy, doesn't matter. These are not actual tools. Tools get used. Tools are useful to you, right? If it's not useful to you, then it's just a story in your head. So let's talk about this a little bit more in depth. Let's talk about the fear of identity loss. I see this so often when I work with people who have held on to clothes from the past or like things that are a style that they used to wear, things that are a size they used to wear, things that they just have memories of wearing before, but currently they don't feel comfortable in that size or that style. It's from the past. It's a part of their identity from the past. So it's scary to let go of some of these things because part of us feels like we are losing that part of ourselves, right? That is no longer part of our identity. The truth is, it's already happened. You wore the things. That's always going to be a part of you. You have grown since then, sometimes physically, right? But definitely mentally. You have grown and evolved and changed, but that part of your identity is still with you. It's just you're not expressing it in your clothing right now. You're expressing it in different ways, or you're choosing to express something different altogether. But when we're holding on to things from the past that are no longer useful for us, a lot of times it's that identity, right? There's a lot of grief that, especially as women, we go through as we go through phases in our lives with our physical appearance and our body. So sometimes we have to go through the grieving process of, no, I will never get into that size 6 pair of jeans again because that is from when I was 20, I am now 50, or whatever it is. Grief of, not seeing ourselves and being seen in the world in the same way that we used to be when we were younger, right? There's grief, and it is okay to throw yourself a pity party and feel the grief. That is fine. The great thing is there are a lot of benefits that come with evolving and growing and becoming older, but we need to grieve it and we need to let it go. And hold on to the fact that we had that. We went through that time. We got our time with that size 6 jeans and with turning heads in the grocery store or whatever it is. But we had that time of our lives. We could have it again. We don't know. Right now, where we're at in this moment in our lives, that's not how it is. We can celebrate the fact that we had it. We can celebrate the fact that other people are having it right now. Your 20-year-old neighbor walking her dog might look great in the same outfit that you're letting go of. Celebrate that right now is her time. And then reframe. What is great now? So when we're afraid of our identity loss, a lot of times we don't have a really good anchor to what we currently love about ourselves. What we have now that is better, that we chose over it. Right? You've probably chosen something over the size 6. Otherwise, you'd probably just be in the gym and dieting nonstop. I'm not saying do that. Don't do that. But there's something else that has replaced it, and it's something better. A lot of times it's mental. A lot of times we have grown the way that we think, and we feel more solid in ourselves as a whole, or things like that. But what is it now that you have that maybe you didn't even have then? Right? What is your identity now? So the fear of identity loss, letting go of the old clothes, letting go of entertainment, serving items, right? I see that a lot too. Maybe you have a lot of different pieces of silverware and plates and serving dishes to entertain, but you don't entertain on that level anymore. It's hard to let go of it because part of your identity can be, I used to entertain all the time. I was such a great hostess. I love that part of myself. So it is scary to let go of those items. You will not lose that part of your identity, though. You can't, because it's a fact of who you were, and there's still part of that in you. So fear of identity loss. On the flip side, we sometimes save things because we want to be, either want to be that person or be seen as that person who uses that thing, does that thing, right? Books are a perfect example of this. We buy these books, and I have been just as guilty of this one. You buy the really in-depth self-help book or the finance book that says how to get in charge of your finances, but you don't read it. Or you've read it kind of once, but you're not going to reread it. Yet we keep it. Why do we do that? Well, a lot of times we wish that we were someone who was really good with our finances and loved to understand how to do all the ins and outs of our finances. We wish that we were someone who did the deep dive and the 45-day challenge in that self-help book. However, we're not. And we're not probably going to be, right? If you've had that book for this long and you haven't read it, you're not going to be. And that's okay, because not all of us can be all the things. What can you do? Like, what is the part of your identity that you can celebrate? Which books do you read? That's a great place to start cluing in, because you don't have to be that identity. You can just appreciate the people out there who are. It does not make you less or not enough by not being that person. Holding on to the book, though, if you're not reading it and it's really a desire to be someone that you're not actually, then holding on to the book, that's a huge, heavy, open loop. Right? That tells yourself every time you look at the bookshelf and that book is there, that tells you, oh, I should read that. And then your brain does what? It spirals, right? Oh, I should read that finance book. I really need to get in control of my finances better. I wish that I could just focus on how investments work. We spiral, right? That's very heavy. That's a huge, heavy mental load that comes with that one book. What if that lighter choice is to let go of the book and not carry that load anymore, and celebrate that the book is gone? Somebody who is that way can use it, but you do not need to hold on to all of that mental pressure from that book. If in the future suddenly you get really excited about finances and investing, you can find a book again that can teach you it, or Google it, right? So books you never read, that's a great example of a desire to be someone that you aren't. Anything that you have that you're not using and have never used, that's probably either identity loss, a fear of identity loss because maybe you used to use it and you don't now, or if you've never used it, it's probably a desire to be someone you aren't, or have a lifestyle, an aspect of your life that you don't have. And holding on to that just makes that a bigger ache, right? So remember that letting go of things, it's not losing a part of yourself. It's releasing the version in your head that's keeping you stuck. So when you let go of the thing, you can get unstuck. You're not going to be hyper focused on being someone who's great at investing. Now you have the mental space to think, okay, who am I? Oh, I'm the person who loves to garden and grow things and add beauty to the world, or whatever it is. And when staying the same, this is kind of a global thing that you'll hear me say over and over. When staying the same hurts more than releasing, in this case, the identity that we've outgrown or the identity that we don't actually have, that's when you'll start to see the change. That's when you'll learn to let go more. But first, we have to get to that point where we realize how much we're hurting by staying the same, how much weight, how much guilt, how much fear, how much just mental load and open loops come with the things that we're holding on to that we deep down inside know that we don't need anymore. All right. So really quickly, before we move on from identity, I wanted to hop into the chat area and let's see. Here we go. Oh, Coral says, yep, she missed the webinar last night. Oh, no worries. Today, the replay is going to go out, so you will have everything that you need. No worries. Tony says, what about preppers who like to be prepared for natural disasters, even if they don't live in an area where they normally happen? How do you identify the line between preparedness and clutter? That is such a good question. And just a reminder, I am not a therapist. So I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. Everybody has different psychological things going on underneath. But in general, one of the ways that you can tell between preppers or anything that you feel like might be on the line or in excess, how do you feel when you're looking at those things? Now, if you have items prepared and you look at those items and you don't feel the mental pressure and weight, if there's not a fear or an anxiety that builds up when thinking about those things, if you look at it and you think, I'm prepared, I have enough, it is good, and it makes you feel calmer, great. Then most likely it is not in excess. It's not clutter and it's not mental load. However, mental load, open loops, fear, all of those things, those are very anxious, negative feelings. And you will feel it when you either think about prepping or you look at all the things that you've been prepping. Is there a weight and a heaviness to it? If so, poke at that. Explore that. What is that anxiety? What's the weight? What's the heaviness? What is the real fear that's going on underneath that is making it feel uncomfortable? Because it feels uncomfortable, if it feels heavy, then that's a sign that you have crossed into clutter and that it's not logical preparation anymore. It is now crossed into excess or crossed into a negative zone. So really that's what it is. There are times where people have normalized it so much that they might not feel the heaviness and the anxiety and things that are truly lying underneath. So it's not a 100% all the time that's the answer, but in general. So yeah, if you feel comforted and you feel in control and safe and calm and like you have enough and like it's nothing is weighing on you with it, then it's probably fine. Yeah, it's just when it feels heavy. That's when you look at it. And let's see. Deb says, appreciate the great info. I hoard too many items. So hard to let go. This message helps, right? And it's easy to fall into that. We all have a thing, at least one thing that we hold on to too much of for the wrong reasons, right? So you're so welcome. It's one of those that, one of those topics that I think is so important. Tony says, Marie Kondo said that if you have a book that you didn't finish reading, you were meant to read the part you read, and that was all. We can make peace with that and move on. Absolutely. Not all books are meant to be read cover to cover, right? Sometimes we start a book and we realize it's not for us. That's fine too. It's perfect. Yeah. Lovely Marie says, my desire is to get rid of old cassettes from the 80s and DVDs or the old camcorder, which I don't even use, but fear it'll come back into season again. Right. And there's the key word, right? You heard that, fear. So explore that fear, and why would it be bad if it came back into season, but you let go of it? Explore what you're afraid of happening. Are you afraid of the fact that maybe you could sell it for more money later instead of getting rid of it now? Are you afraid of possibly needing it again? Yeah, what is the fear that's really lying under? So you can ask yourself the question, just why? Why is that? And then answer it. So I'm afraid it'll come back into season again. Why is that? Why am I afraid of that? Because, and answer it. Then ask yourself why. Because, answer it. And keep digging deeper that way. Good morning, Brenda Jean. Welcome. Rosella says, hello from New York. Last night's special Zoom webinar was very helpful. I hope to be able to finally organize my incoming digital emails and files. Yay! Oh, wonderful. And anyone who did miss it, last night's webinar, how to, how not to lose files and emails and love your inbox again, I believe is the title. That's available as a replay in the store, and it'll be available in the vault sale as well coming up. So make sure that you grab it because it was really good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Tony says, my thing has been workbooks, curriculum, and flashcards for my children. I've come to peace that I'm not a homeschool mom. My children go to public school. Yes, right? Says there is a fear that they will not receive proper education. Yes. And then that's one of those fears. That's good to recognize that that's the fear. Okay, poke at it. And think about, well, what if? What is the worst thing that would happen if? What if the heaviness of holding on to this is actually my kids can feel the heaviness of this and the stress of it? All of those different things. She says, and the fear that I'm not doing enough as a parent to have a hand in their education. I think, man, parents, we all feel that way, right? We all feel like there's just so many things that we should do even more and be better at. Mama, you're doing great. You're doing so good. We can't do every little thing, and the things that you're choosing to do are awesome. And, one of the things that I tend to have excess in is craft and artsy ideas and things to do, because I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do. Sometimes that's the mental clutter right there. Letting go of some of the things that we could do, right? We can't do all the things. Which things do I want to do really well? But that means that, you know what? There are a few things that maybe I have to let go of being perfect and the ultimate at something, right? So picking and choosing, it's hard. It's hard. As a parent, though, it's extra hard. Let's talk really quickly about shame next, right? Shame plays a big part in a lot of our clutter. And this is, again, there's fear. Shame is a symptom of fear. Usually it's fear of something else, but specifically shame is one symptom that we can look at and really understand what's going on better that way too. An example of shame and organizing: keeping the expensive purse because you feel shame over spending the money. So letting go of the purse, that's this phrase, but it was so expensive, but I paid so much for it, right? So keeping that is actually holding on to the shame, holding on to that feeling of being a failure for having bought the thing and not using it or whatever it is, right? So shame and failure for having done, bought, not done, whatever it is. And this ties very much into the whole education part as well, right? The shame and the feeling of failure for not being as involved in our kids' education when there's only so many hours in the day and you're doing so many other great things for your kids, right? But there can be shame tied to our clutter, especially the things and digital clutter, like things that are visual, tend to bring up a lot more of that shame because that's sort of a trigger. This is along with Marie Kondo was mentioned earlier. She has the phrase, does it bring you joy? Now, when we really dig deep into this phrase, does it bring you joy? The purpose of this phrase really is, are there negative feelings associated with the item? Right? If there's any negativity associated with the item, if there is anxiety, if there's shame, if there's guilt, if there's a weight, a mental weight to it, then that's not joyful. Let it go, right? We keep so many items sometimes because of shame, guilt, failure. Other examples would be keeping the gift that you were given, even though you hate it. You know, maybe Aunt Ruth made you a lamp, ceramic lamp, and it is not your style and you don't like it, yet you keep it and you see it all the time. It does not bring you joy, right? It brings the guilt and the shame of, I should be someone who really appreciates this more. I keep showing this even though I really don't like it. So really look into, are there negative feelings such as shame or guilt, regret tied to an item? Because when we have this, we're just reminding ourselves of these negative feelings over and over, and we don't need an item to remind ourselves. We're really good at reminding ourselves of all of our faults, everything we've ever done wrong, all of our shames, all of our guilt, all of our regrets. We remember this without stuff to remind us, right? So holding on to the thing, holding on to the expensive purse that you never use just because you spent so much on it, that is not bringing you any more money back by keeping it, right? You're not going to get your money back. It's already spent. Now, instead, you look at it and you feel shame, you feel regret, you feel the sense of failure whenever you happen to see that purse in your closet. It's an open loop. So in the back of your head, it's always there, right? That open loop of, I should let go of that purse. Oh, but I spent so much money on it. I should use it, right? Should is such a horrible word. So when you see it, it's bringing up all those negative emotions, and holding on to it's not going to get your money back. It's simply going to start disintegrating in your closet and deteriorating so nobody can use it. And it's even more worthless, right? So shame and failure, regret, guilt, all of those feelings, poke at those too. See if maybe there's a layer of that going on with things we keep. Sometimes we keep things that we think are happy, good memories, but they're not when we really investigate it. If there's any sort of weight that happens in your body, in your head, in your heart, just in your energy, if your energy sinks some when you look at something, that's a chance to pause and think about it. The family photo. Maybe for you, the family photo is 95% happy, but the 5% remembers how much you regret not getting that taken before Grandpa Lou passed. So now seeing the family photo, there's that smudge of shame and regret. Maybe it's time to not have the family photo up for a while. Things like that. So when the shame of seeing something over and over finally outweighs the discomfort of letting it go, of throwing it away, giving it away, that's when you can shift into letting it go. So you see the pattern? right? When we acknowledge the weight, the anxiety, the negative feelings, the open loops, and the pressure associated with keeping the thing. When we really acknowledge it and allow ourselves to feel it, allow yourself to feel the guilt and the shame and the fear and the grief, then that's when that item is now so much heavier to hold on to. And the lighter option is to let it go. And that's what we want to get to. That's why we want to identify when we're feeling fear, identify when we're feeling shame or guilt, identify when it's really tied to part of our identity. And we can fill in what we need. We can fill in with, okay, well, if I let this go, is my identity going to feel less? Am I going to lose part of myself? No, but what am I going to focus on instead? And then that way we can make that lighter option of letting go of the thing so that we can have the lightness. We don't need more burdens than we already have. Letting go is not admitting failure. It's choosing kindness over punishment. Keeping the purse is a way of punishing yourself over and over for spending the money or for not using the purse after spending the money, right? We don't need to punish ourselves. Choose kindness. And letting go is choosing kindness. So overall, the whole major picture of everything we're talking about right now is releasing, right? Identifying that mental pressure and the weight. And then releasing that pressure and weight by releasing the item, whether it's an email newsletter or it's Aunt Ruth's lamp that she made. Releasing the item then opens up to a lighter way of being, right? When you start to believe in the person that you are becoming, instead of the person that you were, instead of even the person you are now, but when you start to believe in the person that you are becoming, and then that person that you are becoming, it's going to be so worth it. And they deserve great things, and there's great things about this person you're becoming. Then we can shed the old, we can shed the things that are holding us back. When you really believe in that person that you're becoming and you really see the weight of what's holding you back, then that's when staying the same becomes much scarier than making the change and becoming that next version of you. So there you go. You've probably heard the phrase before, and I keep saying it again and again, but staying the same, when it becomes more painful to stay the same than to make the change, that's when the change happens. So sometimes we just simply need to speed up getting to the point of recognizing how painful it is where we're at right now. And by really learning to identify some of these parts and really poke at them, investigate them, feel them, that's when we start to feel that pain. And it's no fun, but we need that pain because we do not like to change. But we need that pain of being where we're at, in the way that we're at, behaving the way that we are, doing the things that we're doing. We need that pain because that is what then helps us grow into the next version, into the thing that's lighter and happier and more secure and that has enough with less. So hopefully this resonated with you. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings. If you're not already a Pathfinder and you would like a group of other women and like-minded men who are on the same journey as you, going through the same things, who can talk openly about these things and support each other throughout these changes and throughout the pain that is necessary in order to grow, consider joining the Pathfinders Plus Club. So go to the link, suzannakaye.live/join-pathfinders-membership and get on the path to the next version of you. And in the comments, I wanted to just wrap up with this. And Coral says, I hope I can hear this again. It goes along with my 4th step recovery. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, yes. So if you are a Pathfinder, you have, I can't remember, I think it's either 3 or 6 months worth of Thursday Talk recordings that are available for you in your online library. So you get a chance to listen longer. If you're not a Pathfinder, that's okay. This will be available on my YouTube channel for the next 30 days. Also, in the vault sale, when we do the vault sale starting November 26th through December 1st, then that's when you can actually buy the full year of Thursday Talk recordings to own forever. So this one will be within the 2025 pack. So I'm so glad that is helpful for you. BS Ruth says, regarding the tapes and CDs that lovely Marie talked about, she says the technology will probably be better and you'll have to buy all your CDs again due to them not being compatible. It's so true, right? So true. Tony says, I do have an Aunt Ruth. Another aunt gave me a muumuu to wear and I think it's awful on me. I will definitely be letting that go. Right? You received the love and all the gifts that were given. The gift is not the item. The gift is the love and just that sharing of energy. And you got that. No matter what you do with the item itself, you've got the love still. I love that. Oh, thank you, lovely Marie, for sharing where to find the replays. You're so welcome, Brenda Jean and CJ. Wonderful job today. If you are a Pathfinder, then please join me for our Pathfinders Thursday Talk after this. That's where we hop on and we can just chat about whatever is going on, including what are you going through? What things are heavy for you right now? How can you let go? And all of those good things. So 12 p.m. Eastern Time is our Pathfinders Thursday Talk. So if you're a Pathfinder, I will see you then. If not, then reminder, next week we do not have a Thursday Talk because it is Thanksgiving here in the United States. So if you celebrate Thanksgiving with us, then happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you in December. I love you so much. Keep doing great things. Each little step that you're taking, each little change that you make, even the mental changes, make a huge difference in your life, and your future self will thank you for it. You're doing great, beautiful, and I love you. Mwah. Bye now.